Okay, let's dive in. We're looking at the material you sent over, focusing on IP today. Two big questions, really. First, how can you realistically estimate, the number of patent applications a company might file? And second, putting a total value on that IP, especially this idea of value with and without market multiples. So our goal here is to unpack the methods in your sources, help you figure out what's key for estimating patent output and valuing the whole IP picture.
Yeah, and what's interesting is how systematic the approach is in these sources. It starts with estimating the patent applications. They call it reverse engineering, actually.
Reverse engineering. Huh. Why that term?
Well, it's a good question. It's because you're not just looking at R&D and guessing patents forward. You're looking at the company's characteristics, its situation, and working backward from that to estimate the likely output of patents. Sort of like looking at a car's engine and build to guess its speed rather than, just timing it. And the material highlights a few key things to look at for this. Industry benchmarks are what are similar companies up to, especially like in AI and software.
Right. Context.
Exactly. Then how much are they actually investing in R&D? More money in the major usually means, more innovation that might need protecting.
The fuel, basically.
Precisely. And then there's the R&D team itself. Size, sure, but also expertise, skilled people working on tough problems often generate more patentable stuff. Plus, the company's general innovation rate, are they always pushing? And, this is crucial, their specific patent strategy.
Strategy, how so?
Do they try and patent like everything? Or are they more selective, only going for the really big foundational ideas? That choice makes a huge difference in the number of filings.
And the source is given number, right? An example range.
They do. For a mid-sized AI company, they suggest maybe 10 to 50 applications a year could be a reasonable estimate once you weigh all those factors.
10 to 50. Okay, that gives a concrete idea. So that's estimating the flow of new patents. But what about the value of the total IP, the whole portfolio? This is where it gets really interesting. You mentioned the sources talk about different angles for valuation.
Yes, exactly. The material covers 3 core methods, giving different perspectives.
Okay.
You've got the cost-based approach. Pretty straightforward. What did it actually cost to develop the IP? R&D, legal fees, that sort of thing.
Okay, historical cost.
Then there's market-based. This looks outward. What have similar IP sold for? Or even entire companies with similar tech. What's the going rate, essentially?
Makes sense. Comparables.
Right. And the third is income-based. This one's forward-looking. It tries to estimate the future cash flows the IP will generate, sales, licensing fees, you name it. Using all 3 gives you a more rounded picture. Cost is past, market is present comparison, income is future potential.
Okay, so that value without multiples. That's basically the number you get from combining these methods somehow, like an average.
Pretty much, yeah. It's the base value derived from those core methods. The sources use an example where, after looking at cost, market, and income, this base value comes out to $15 million. That's your foundation.
15 million. Got it. So where do the multiples come in then?
Multiples are used to factor in things like future growth expectations and strategic value, market perception, really.
Yeah.
It's especially relevant for high growth areas like AI startups.
So it's like adding the market buzz on top.
You could say that. You research the current multiples being used for similar deals in that sector. Your source mentioned a trend of, say, a 5x multiple being applied to AI startups in 2025.
5 times.
And then you just, multiply. You take that $15 million base value we talked about, multiply it by the 5x trending multiple, and suddenly the total IP value jumps to $75 million.
Wow, quite a leap. So $15 million without multiples based on cost, market, income, and $75 million with that market multiple layered on.
Exactly. 2 different ways of looking at the value, one more grounded in calculation, the other reflecting market dynamics and future potential.
Okay, so let's recap. Based on these sources you shared, you've got a framework. First, estimate potential patent output, reverse engineering it by looking at company factors, strategy, R&D.
Benchmarking, spend, team, strategy.
Right. And then for valuing the total IP, use those cost, market, income methods for a base value like the $15 million example.
That's the core number.
And then understand how a market multiple like that 5x can reflect growth potential and significantly increase that valuation, leading to the $75 million figure.
It gives you that dual perspective, the calculated base and the market influence potential, a way to see the current pipeline and the overall asset value.
So here's something to think about then. Given how much that multiple can inflate the value from $15 million to $75 million in the example, What specific things about a company's patent strategy itself might influence which multiple gets applied? Beyond just the general market trend, how might how they patent affect how much extra value the market perceives? Something for you to chew on.